From the LiveX studios in New York City, CheeseheadTV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. I am Aaron Nagler, and I am joined, as always, by my co-founder here at CheeseheadTV, Mr. Corey Behnke. I am coming to you live from the LiveX studio in Midtown Manhattan. Corey joins us live from Green Bay, Wisconsin, across the street from Lambeau Field, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we'll ignore the entire fact that there was a Vikings game and get ready for the showdown with an undermanned but still dangerous 49ers team. But right now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good, we got
Adrian Amos, one of the few on defense who actually came to play.
We got the bad, we got
Equiminius St. Brown. Time to start putting it together, buddy.
We got the ugly. We got
your Green Bay Packers. What an ugly performance all around. Something that's not ugly, though, is seeing you in Green Bay, Corey Behnke. How you doing today?
Oh, my goodness. The weather in Green Bay from now until the next 5 days is supposed to be glorious. We're getting Indian Summer Week back here in Green Bay. It couldn't be better. You walk outside, there's no chill. It's amazing. It's so crazy. We had the Saturday like this, then that Sunday game was there to haunt our dreams with its 46 freaking mile per hour winds and snow, light flurries. And then now it's like, oh, hey, what's up, Indian Summer? What's going on? Remember November? Still fall, kind of. So
still
hey,
fall,
I'm liking it.
A little bit, definitely. You know, it's fall. It's football season. The Packers, man, there's a lot going on, Corey. So let's get to it because the Packers are en route.
Woo! There's a lot going on. We playing
West
tomorrow,
Coast.
right? We're en route. Okay. So we got
To the
some
West
planes.
Coast.
Planes have taken off. I haven't
Apparently,
been on Twitter in the last hour.
There's going to be a game tomorrow, I guess.
All right.
Even though there's a lot going on. Well, let's get to it. First up, before we get to all of that talk, let's even touch on what happened yesterday because, Corey, I know you are excited. You are absolutely thrilled that the trade deadline has come and gone. It is finally over. No more talking about possible trades. No more talking about wide receivers or defensive tackles or whatever might have been brought in. It is over. This is your team.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy.
No moves at the trade deadline for the Green Bay Packers.
Finally. You know what? Inaction sometimes can be wisdom, Aaron Nagler.
That is true.
Sometimes.
Ooh, did you coin that yourself? Inaction can sometimes be wisdom? That's pretty good. That sounds like something Yoda would say. That's pretty damn good. All right, so
I'm happy. I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. We don't
obviously.
Well, okay.
Oh boy.
Fourth round. Okay. Who in their right mind, is going – you got to be desperate. You got to be on Twitter desperation to be like, oh, you know what?
Twitter desperation.
Yeah, I'll give you a second-round draft pick for 8 games of football. I don't even know the whole terms of the deal, but I'm already like – as soon as you say the word I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, well, that was the thing. Obviously, the Will Fuller stuff dominated the headlines yesterday. The Packers did not pull the trigger on that. And as I said on Twitter, I thought that was 100% the right call by Gutekunst to not send a second-round pick. And I understand that's where the value is after the Patriots made a desperation move last year and traded for Mohamed Sanu for a second-round pick. Obviously, that fell apart for them. But I don't blame the Texans looking to try and equal that deal. Fuller's a much better player than Sanu is or was at that point. But there's no way the Packers should ever even entertain that, which by all accounts they didn't. And I also understand the Texans saying no to a fourth, which is what the Packers pretty much put the ceiling on. And again, I totally get it from Gutekunst's point. Those first 3 rounds, those are valuable picks that you have control of for 4 years at minimum, 5th if you're talking about the first-round pick. But that second-round pick is invaluable if you get a guy like Elton Jenkins to plug in for 4 years on a rookie deal, as opposed to a Will Fuller who, let's face it, I've got people bitching on my Twitter today about Kevin King still being out. Well, did you want to bring in a guy who's pretty much had very similar injury issues as Kevin King at the wide receiver spot? And I know Will Fuller's having a good year, but to rent him for 8 games, possibly 12 if the Packers get hot and get to the Super Bowl, and then turn around and be unable to pay him and have to basically have given up that second-round pick for a rental, as opposed to a 4-year investment on a rookie contract. It just, to me, it's a no-brainer. And I understand the arguments of, oh, they're not getting Rodgers weapons, blah, blah, blah. But to the Packers side of things, they know Allen Lazard is close. He's going to be back. Aaron Jones is going to be back, and they're going to be at close to, if not full strength, for an offense that is top 5 in the league already. So I totally get this from the Packers standpoint. Not to discount what people are feeling in the fandom. I totally understand wanting to make moves.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable the amount of hot air that is spent on this whole entire issue.
Right.
What started as a funny thing by the draft industrial complex putting its 2 cents in has become this literally narrative thread that's just like, it's never going to end. Someone make it stop. Kill me. Hit me in the eye. Do something. If I can do anything to make this freaking stupid madness stop, I will do it. I will do what's in my power, because apparently you can't yell at people, you can't be mean to people, you can't tell them they're dumb, which I don't do anyway because I don't believe in personally attacking people on social media.
Right.
But you can't do anything to bring rationalization to the ether. So here we are.
Right. And I would just like to point out that, the pushback sometimes is, oh, they're not trying to win, or they're complacent, or, they're happy just being in the playoffs, which, of course, is just absolute garbage and total nonsense. Nobody in this world wants the Packers to win more than the people working in the building behind you. There is not a single soul on this earth. This idea that they're not trying for a Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? Will Fuller was not the answer to getting to the Super Bowl. No, neither was any other wide receiver that they may have traded for. Newsflash.
No.
Unless you're bringing in Reggie White, who last time I
was just going to say Willie
he's not
Davis.
available.
Like if it's Willie Davis available, Suzanne, our intern, she put on like, who would you like to be on the Packers? And I was like, Ray Nitschke. You got Ray Nitschke in that bag of trades.
Yeah, right.
You got a middle linebacker, or you got somebody who can be a run stuffer. Because I'm taking it. Maybe I'll be a little bit more desperate, but that's the sad thing. The people don't know what the F they're talking about when they're so like just give me it, give me it.
Well,
I need it. I need a wide receiver.
Well, what's funny too is that you mentioned how the narrative thread now has formed each and every year. This happens where the drum up by the media. There's nothing, they're making calls and stuff, and things are happening behind the scenes, but it's not like it's this intense buildup in these buildings. It's all on the outside. It's because we've created this media monster where 365, we're talking football, which is great because it connects us to people all over the world who love the Packers, but at the same time, it creates this firmament where people are constantly looking for activity, constantly looking for headlines, constantly telling the Packers, just do something. And as Andrew Brandt has pointed out so many times, a lot of times the best deals you make are the ones you don't pull the trigger on. And I think that was the case yesterday.
Well, I was going to bring that up. I was thinking about this moment in the shower. You're going to be creeped out, so don't be too creeped out. But that's where a lot of our human understanding and intellect comes from. Yeah, so I was literally thinking about that, something Bob Francisconi, one of the greatest mask and improvisational physicality teachers in the country of the last 40 or 50 years, literally would say to us, you make a choice. Not making a choice is a choice.
It's a choice, 1,000%. Man, shout out to Sconey. 49ers fan, but we'll forgive him for that. Hey, that was our first bullet point in the news section, and we've got a bunch more to go.
Well, get to it, Nagler. What are you waiting for?
Here we go. We got the 49ers closing their facility today after one of their wide receivers was testing positive for COVID. And they joined the Green Bay Packers in the fact that the Packers are dealing with a positive COVID test. Obviously, A.J. Dillon testing positive earlier this week. So both teams
and don't forget collateral damage. Kamal Martin and Jamal Williams.
Kamal Martin and Jamal Williams are deemed close contacts, so they now will not be able to play in this game. They are being left behind. It's it's a mess. Now here's the other thing that I haven't seen anybody talk about it.
And meanwhile, just a side note, little asterisk, Nagler, just to put on there. Like, I think 5,400 people had COVID in Wisconsin today.
Yeah, they did.
New infections.
Yeah, they
so
did.
There you go. Hey, it's a pandemic. When we're looking back on this on YouTube, remember, it was a pandemic.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. But here's the thing that I haven't seen anyone mention, and I'm just going to say it because it's a definite possibility. What happens? They take these tests every day and they get the results pretty early in the morning. What happens tomorrow morning if we wake up and there's some kind of multitude of tests being positive in San Francisco?
Yep.
Are they playing this game?
Well, and that's the thing.
Are they rescheduling it? Are they pushing it back? Are the Packers staying out there for the weekend? What the hell is going to happen if that happens?
And we are not doctors, but I can tell you this: I did go through a 21, 22-day. No, but I'm just saying I did go through a 22-day regimen of testing for a large event, and I understand that testing alone doesn't tell you shit because it only takes one person to get into the mix, and then the problem is that the testing has such a lag. So by the time when A.J. Dillon got infected, 3 to 6 days before he actually had a positive test. So, a lot of things in play to your point. Like, what are they going to do?
I don't know, and I'm kind of flabbergasted that they let the Packers fly out there and that they haven't moved this game just to Monday. It's like, let's get this thing isolated. Yeah, now my tweet about moving the Patriots but not the Packers isn't looking like so conspiratorial. Well, no, but I'm not going to get into it here, but that was in entirely different circumstances. There were like a number of teams involved in that decision. It wasn't just two. It was like a ripple effect from a bunch of different games.
There is here too, though.
No, but there's no ripple effect as far other games. You know what I mean? Like it's like this can be contained if they push this back to Monday and try and deal with the. Anyway, I don't want. Like I said, I don't want to go down that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I would have done. That's the call I would have made. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's broadcast stuff.
Seems like a simple call.
The NFL seems hell bent on having this game tomorrow night for whatever reasons. And then let's just talk strictly injuries straight up. We're not talking COVID. We're not talking everything. Like, obviously, both of these teams are insanely banged up. The injury report came out just before we went live. David Bakhtiari, most importantly, Aaron Jones is listed as questionable. Rick Wagner is listed as questionable. He's dealing with a knee injury. He didn't even practice at the beginning of the week. He was limited later in the week. Aaron Jones will probably miss this game, though. And that's, crazy to think about, that this calf injury, that when it happened on that Thursday practice and then Friday availability, we talked to Aaron and he said, it's this little thing. I really want to play, but then they held him out and you thought, okay, he'll be good to go the next week. But then he literally didn't even practice and then missed that Vikings game. And now he's on the cusp of missing another game. So all of a sudden that little calf injury, is not so little anymore. You could kind of
tell with Coach's press conference yesterday that I kind of got that vibe.
1,000%. No question. And he's going to toe the line of they're taking it right up to kickoff. They're going to give him every opportunity, quote unquote, all the jargon that he uses. But I'll be absolutely shocked.
You want the Niners game planning
for Aaron Jones. Absolutely, 1,000%.
Aaron Jones.
And look, I understand the reasoning behind it, but it just sucks that it's probably third game in a row without Aaron Jones. And now, because of the COVID situation, A.J. Dillon is down, Jamal Williams is down. We're going to see Dexter Williams and Tyler Ervin in the backfield, probably with a liberal helping of maybe John Lovett. Sternberger probably play a little fullback at times. We saw that last year. So it's going to be a real makeshift crew in the offensive backfield next to Aaron Rodgers tomorrow night. Who knows how that plays out, but boy, howdy. Whew. That's going to be some fun.
I'm kind of into it. It's like 1940s football.
Well, it's a challenge to get your guys up and see what you can cobble together, so to speak. And I asked Aaron about that on his availability yesterday. Like, is there just a little bit of like kind of competitive nature in you that makes you think, what? We're going to go out there with this ragtag group and we're going to beat them. I love that. Now, obviously, the 49ers are very beat up as well, so it's not like you're going out there and beating Bosa and Sherman and crew. It's a very different defense they're facing, but still Robert Saleh, it's still the 49ers, and they can still get after it. So let's move on to the offense, shall we? Shall we talk some offense, Corey Behnke? Didn't mention Sternberger.
Yes.
Tunyon.
We just got through the news. I can't believe it.
Yeah, we did. Tunyon and Sternberger. Tunyon and Sternberger showing up in the passing game. I tell you what, For all the consternation about wide receivers or a lack thereof, no one seems to talk about the fact that these guys are coming on. These guys are delivering in the passing game, and that's what it's all about. This is what kind of always frustrates me about this constant drumbeat about the wide receiver group. It's like we've heard LaFleur talk about it. We've heard Shanahan talk about it in regards to this offense being about the 5 eligibles that you put out. The 5 guys who can go out and run routes. It doesn't matter what position they're at, whether it's a wide receiver, a tight end, or a running back. And right now, Tunyon and Sternberger are probably your best options after Devontae Adams, unless Alan Lazard comes back tomorrow, which is an outside possibility. So, yeah, I'm so happy to see these guys getting involved.
Here's the thing about that offense that I felt, and I don't know if you felt this way. I tried to say this on Twitter. It's a little bit easier to say it and just verbally say it. But if you look at the second half of the game, right, we were pretty much going tit for tat for them. A.J. Dillon, I thought, had a really good game the first half of the game. Yeah. We didn't have any crazy explosive things, but if you really look at wow, third string running back, really good game, rookie, for the first half. But I really kind of throw that on. I hate to get into play calling, but I felt like, and this is where I was trying to argue with you about 2nd and 10 and running. Right. We get away from the run because we're trying to match the score. And there's part of me that feels like overall, there's this lack of confidence from coach about himself. It's like he's a little bit insecure about his own ability to go with the thing that's going to get you there, right? And he's so quick, and maybe it's Aaron. I don't know, right?
Well, that's the thing. There's such a mix going on there.
But it's
hard.
What are the reasons? But there's clearly a time where this is our game plan, and then situational football comes in. But a lot of coaches with situational football, like your Belichick's of the world, they're like, you know what? This is still our game plan, and I'm not going to pull the parachute. It felt like he pulled the parachute 2 drives too soon, in my opinion.
Well, they started to get pass happy.
Kind of felt that happening.
I hear you, and it's happened both times they've gotten behind, and that's the thing. All of a sudden, we got to run these intermediate to deep routes all the time, and then maybe they are trying to stick with the run a little bit, but then they get stuffed and it's 2nd and 8, and oh my gosh, here we go. We got to push the ball downfield. My thing about the run that you responded to was actually because I was watching the Giants game. It was just killing me. I knew that. Especially when you've got a young quarterback like the Giants do. It's like, okay, you go incomplete on first down. That automatically means, for most coordinators, especially here in New York with the Giants, but with this idea of okay, I got to get what I can on the ground on 2nd down. Now, to your point, LaFleur does that all the time. Incomplete pass on first down. Well, time for the run to set up manageable 3rd down. And if you got Aaron Rodgers, any 3rd down is manageable. So just,
but the thing is, if you have under 6, though, it opens up 90% of your playbook just opened up, right? If you're trying to get 6. So I get that, and especially, too, if you have weapons, right?
The problem is when you do it all the time.
Gets me a first down.
Of course, but the problem is when you do it all the time, the other team knows it.
But the thing is, against specifically, against the Minnesota Vikings, okay, look at, back on those drives, right? Dillon, Tunyon, Dillon, Adams, right? It's like you got to pound the rock, and pounding the rock means, hey, it's first down or second down. I'm running the ball, and I'm not. Maybe I pull the cord on 3rd, but it's like you got to keep trying to go at that Minnesota defense, and we didn't get down that much for us to pull the parachute.
Well, that was the thing. 21-14 suddenly felt like it was 31-14, and that's what it seemed like they were calling plays for. It was weird. And it's one of those things. It's like you can't really put your finger on it because there are so many variables, as we always talk about. But it is interesting that the moment they get behind, it does seem to kind of shift, and all of a sudden they're just not efficient. And I don't know if that's the thing with LaFleur and being a young play caller, or if that's Rodgers wanting to push it or whatever. And that's something that only they can answer. But yeah, I'm with you in the sense of they kind of lose their identity when they get behind. They seem to anyway. Tough start for EQ. Let's talk about the wide receivers here, and we'll talk about Equanimeous St. Brown, who obviously had the 3rd down drop right in his hands. I get he's falling down, but Rodgers could not have placed that football any better. Now, obviously, in the end zone, when he doesn't come down with it on fourth down, you can quibble about Rodgers taking a deep shot on fourth. You can talk about how, yes, there was a defender there. I remember watching it live and thinking, well, that's a tough play, because there is a safety. Harrison Smith is right there, who actually doesn't even play the ball that well. But, yes, and Rodgers gets to it late. All of that is true. But, man, the more you look at it, and I know people said this live on the chat while we were watching, just go make a play for your quarterback, especially this guy who's giving you another chance after the drop earlier. I mean, again, I get it. He's a young kid. He hasn't played a whole lot after coming back from that injury. He was off for a long time. But, man, you got to make that play. And he does have what's so funny is, like, all the consternation around EQ. I've seen nobody mention the fact that he got a huge third down conversion later in the game, which I understand.
He did.
You're tasked to catch all three of those passes, not just one of them. But, yeah, it's been a tough start for EQ coming back from that injury, from all those injuries. I just wonder when it's going to be time to start putting in Malik Taylor in those situations rather than EQ. And I understand they're different receivers, but I think Malik is up to the task because he has answered the bell.
I mean,
every single time.
You could hear it in QB1's voice 3 days ago at his press conference, or 2 days ago. You could hear it. You could hear him literally saying Malik Taylor is ready. Like, we ask him to do something, he does the thing we ask him to do. Like,
every time.
Okay, here's the next thing.
Right.
So there you go.
Here's more things to do on the day of the game. I'm all in on that. And finally, this is what we did kind of discuss this already. No, there's just no flow when they're not playing with a lead. When they have a lead, they seem really efficient and content to take smaller chunks and move the football methodically down the field. But as soon as they are behind, all of that seems to disappear. And again, there are a lot of variables there. It is undoubtedly something that they're looking at. But, man, it's noticeable in both games this year where they've fallen behind by a lot, or at least by 2 scores. It's been noticeable. The one time it hasn't really reared its head was when they fell behind 14-3 to the Lions, but that was in the first quarter. So it's easy to say, okay, we got the whole game ahead of us. But when they're down big, say heading into halftime and or at the start of the second half, the wheels just kind of seem to come off when it comes to not just the plays themselves and how they're executed, but just the flow of the offense, getting guys in and out of the huddle, getting the call into Rodgers. And Rodgers mentioned it when we talked to him a couple days ago about how calls were coming in late. It was hard. That's what they were up against it at the play clock a lot. Yeah, it's got to be. I understand that LaFleur is kind of learning on the job as an NFL play caller. This is only his 3rd year in doing it. He's going to be facing a guy in Shanahan tomorrow night who's been doing it forever. It is one of those rough moments for him as a young coach, but I just think that if they can lean on
the plays is 2 things. So, it's not easy.
No, it's of course. Absolutely. And I'm not going to pretend it is. Definitely. You know what else isn't easy, Behnke?
But to your point though, point, they are at home. Like, they're at home. I mean, here's the thing. Dusty Evely had the greatest tweet of the week. He takes the tweet of the week. No one beats it. And he basically was like, fuck it. It was the wind, basically. And I'm all for that take.
You're all about it.
I'm literally 99, having experienced now I'm going to get called a gatekeeper, but having experienced the wind in Green Bay on Sunday myself outside of the stadium, and I'm there for it. Like, anybody who's trying to pass or do anything like that,
word.
Good luck.
Exactly. Good luck. All right. I suppose it's time to talk about.
Are we going to defense?
The defense.
Oh, Lord.
Who do we think, Corey Behnke? Do we think? Now, here's my question for you. Here, you ready? Shake it out. Shake it out. Get ready here. All right. Here's my question.
Okay.
Do you think if Kyle Shanahan runs all over this defense like he did last year, they're going to have nobody that touched the ball in the NFC Championship game is going to be playing tomorrow night for the 49ers, which is kind of fascinating. But if Kyle Shanahan takes this preseason roster and runs all over the Packers defense again in the same manner, especially coming off that game against Minnesota where they couldn't stop Dalvin Cook to save their life. It's one thing to say, okay, Dalvin Cook, one of the better running backs in the league. Yeah, he's tough to tackle, understand maybe how the Vikings took advantage of him there. But now to go into San Francisco against a bunch of no-names and have Kyle Shanahan basically take your lunch again, is this Pettine's last stand? Do you think heading into a longer, mini bye week here that LaFleur goes, you know what, this is some bullshit, and pulls the trigger?
No, I don't.
No.
I do not think that the Green Bay Packers are going to make a coaching change mid-season for a defensive or offensive coordinator. That is my, I just don't. I don't see it happening. I don't. I don't know. Maybe there's this mirage of a Russ Ball, Mark Murphy, Gutekunst, LaFleur battle happening, but I just feel like, what is that going to get you at this point?
Well, it might improve your defense.
Whatever. Is it though?
I don't know. It depends on who you decide to elevate to the position of defensive coordinator.
Has changing a defensive coordinator after in week 8 of the NFL season ever helped any team? I mean, I'm waiting for Peter Bukowski to tell me his opinion, and then we can all lambast it.
All right, be nice.
Oh wait,
look,
did I say that out loud?
All
Sorry.
I know is that the Falcons fired Dan Quinn in the middle of the season a couple weeks ago. Mostert took over as.
How are they doing?
Their defense has absolutely flipped around. It's after I think it's 3 games now. They are absolutely lights out and 10 times better than they were under Dan Quinn.
But they had already thrown away the season by doing that.
No, but their season was over already.
Doing that.
Their season was over.
Okay, is our season over?
No, but I would like our defense to play better.
Just think about that, right? I know, but I mean, you know this. Think about it. You got men who are following a person. You got a whole freaking system. You got logistics. You got assistants. You got all this stuff going on, right? You're really going to cut the snake's head off and see what happens down below to all the people that are relying on everything happening the way it is. You are basically saying flush. I do not think a 5-2 team should flush. That's not the time to flush. The time is to group, to get together, to get it going, figure it out.
I hear you. I'm down with that. I just would like to see possibly some, I don't know, acquiescence
now you're the
defensive coordinator.
You're like the do. You're the do something. Yeah, I would love to see it, but are you going to see it? Are we ever going to see? It's
not just do something. This is a very specific thing. I'm not saying just go
pressure.
out, make a move to make a move.
Generate pressure somehow, right?
It's not even generating pressure. It's just maybe a simplification and a possibility of, looking at your defense and seeing, wait a second, I am playing a lot of passive looks and I'm giving a lot of passive calls. And as Ben Fennell pointed out on Twitter, it's one thing if you're going to play cover 3, you want to play cover 2, whatever you're going to do, if you're going to allow those receptions, say, short of the sticks, you got to make those tackles. You got to rally. You got to have 11 hats on the ball, as Matt likes to say. That's fine. I love that. I'm all in. But God damn it, the Packers don't do it. Not nearly enough. Way too often we see guys throwing themselves at the ball carrier, without a prayer of taking them down, and then the ball carrier runs by a guy or two, and then he gets tackled. Maybe, hopefully. It's just again and again and again we see this. So if at some point you can't change the players. Your players are the players you have. You can only, do so much with personnel. We knew all offseason that there wasn't going to be much change as far as who was getting put out on the football field because they didn't make many moves throughout the offseason to augment the defense.
Right.
So the way to improve is to adjust what you're calling and telling and asking those guys to do. And to my eyes, not only has nothing changed in that regard, if anything, it's gotten worse because it's so predictable at this point when it comes to Pettine and what he's going to do. You talk situational football all the time. His situational football is so blindingly obvious in any given situation, whether it's a backed up, whether it's red zone, whether it's 3rd and long, 3rd and short. Anybody sitting at home can say, yep, here comes the 3-man rush. Yep, they're going to play soft cover 2 shell and try and rally in front of the sticks, even though they never make that tackle. Every single time. And you know what? You've seen now offensive coordinators start to say, you know what? This is so easy. I'll just run everybody deep, throw it to the back on 3rd and long, and I know they're not going to make the tackle. So I'll just throw it to my back on 3rd and 8. After everyone's been run off deep. Because I know these guys aren't going to come up in space and make the tackle.
It's so true. Yeah, you don't even need to run a screen. You can just literally run that play, and it gets you what a screen would get you on 3rd and 8. You're 100% right. And here's the thing, okay? Savage, what happened to him? Where'd he go? What happened?
it's like you read the script.
Did we lose him?
That's pretty good because
Did
that is
we-
the next bullet point is we need to talk about Savage. This needs to happen.
But did we
because
lose him? Like, what happened to him? Like, what happened?
there's been no development. That's the problem. When you look at Darnell Savage, so much gets talked about when it comes to Rashawn Gary. And I understand being the 12th overall pick, you're going to get a lot more scrutiny. And, hey, he has not been as productive as you would hope. I know he's been dealing with an ankle injury. We've seen him in and out of the lineup. But with Gary, I understand the trajectory still. With Savage, I am completely lost. Like, this idea that you traded up in the first round for this guy, he's super athletic. You saw last year he was really good in coverage. Lots of problems.
He did have, he had really good moments,
and
though.
ball
and
skills,
you're not
and
seeing those moments here
at all. And the thing is, look, I understand, like, he didn't have an off season to work on these things, right? Nobody did, and there are plenty of other players, not only on this team but around the NFL, who are developing and who are improving. I don't see any of that from Savage. In fact, this is a play that absolutely kills me. I'm going to, Perry, if you could roll this from Sunday's game, where, this is literally your gig here, coming up and making this tackle. I understand it's Dalvin Cook. I understand he's one of the best backs in the league. But, man, you got to fly up there and make that tackle, not throw yourself and roll around on the ground. Come on, man. That's stuff that was happening last year. Now here we are halfway through your sophomore season, and it's still going on. And, again, I'm not discounting the fact that the level of competition, but, man, it happens over and over again. And Savage isn't the only one. There are a ton of these guys on this defense who love throwing themselves at the feet of the ball carrier, hoping to trip him up, rather than coming to balance and exploding through the ball carrier. For whatever reason, everyone wants to poo-poo the idea of actually practicing tackling, especially Matt LaFleur. But at some point, this team can't tackle. So what are you going to do to improve, or are you just going to allow guys to throw themselves around and roll around on the ground? Because it's just maddening to watch week.
Well,
after
and it's
week
not just
after
you.
week.
It's not just us thinking that they can't tackle. They're actually 32nd in tackling.
There is that. They are the worst tackling team in the league, according to PFF. So for all you analytics nerds out there, there's a little bone, throwing you a bone right there. The worst tackling team per PFF, your Green Bay Packers. But was Savage?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though.
Right.
Here's the thing. Okay, so the real, in my opinion, okay, the real, and we're gonna talk about something later about I want to talk about. I don't know if it's scheme or players, right? Because it's both. It's all of the above. If you're 32nd in tackling and you're playing passive defense or whatever you want to say,
Right.
but. What's blowing my mind, and no one has explained this to me up to this point because I'm not smart enough to figure it out on my own, is what, where, what, and who are we going to get the pressure back from that we saw in 2019? You saw it one time this season. You really saw a little bit of that 2019 pressure defense look above the wall and go, hey, guys, what's up? How's it going? Hey, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
And you got Bob Slowick's defense out there, it feels like.
Yikes.
It's kind of crazy.
Wow, what a pull. Yowza. You're not wrong. It's hard to watch. I know it's hard. And look, both Gary and Z are dealing with ankle issues. They have been since the summer, but it's no excuse. You get put out there on the field, you got to produce. And if you aren't, then other people got to step up and take your place.
But
the
that's
problem
the thing.
is
You
of
were
course they're
talking
not going to
about,
take
on Twitter,
Z and Gary's place,
No, they're not going to. But you were talking about on Twitter, not using Adams. Where's that coming from? Where we've got to generate pressure schematically or player-wise. And if we can't do it player-wise, we're going to have to do it schematic-wise. And we clearly are not delivering on that in any way, shape, or form.
No, and
we do deliver pressure, and then they run a screen. So
or we do, like we saw down in Houston, where Sullivan comes free twice and absolutely whiffs on the sack. Free rusher right straight to the quarterback. Now, obviously, Watson's very athletic and very adept at getting out of it, but man, that's your gig, man. Pettine put you in the perfect spot, and you blew it. Redmond had one this past weekend that just blew my mind. When it was in that sequence where they started at second and 19, and then they completed a pass, and then they were throwing it on third down, and they kind of overload to Cousins' left, and Redmond comes screaming off the edge. He has a clear shot at him, but because Cousins cocks the ball, he stops and kind of just does a hop to try and maybe bat the ball down, I guess. But then he realizes Cousins hasn't thrown it, then starts running back towards the quarterback, and then the ball's out. It's like if he just runs through it and lights the quarterback up. Now, I understand today's rules. He's afraid of getting a flag, probably a fine, etc., blah, blah, blah. I mean, just tackle the guy properly and you won't get the fine, but he's scared of costing the team a first down. So I understand that. But if you trust it, because he was in perfect position to just come screaming around the corner and lay Cousins out. But instead, he literally stops. It just is crazy to me. That's what you dream of, you know? Talk about the coordinator putting you in the right spot. Go get it, man. That's your gig. That's your quarterback. Go kill him.
I definitely 100% dream of sacking Kirk Cousins. That's for sure.
That is the dream. You know, and talking about Redmond and Savage, and here we go, you know, even Gary, I mean, the lack of development on the defensive side of the ball is absolutely killing them. The idea that I understand why a lot of moves weren't made this offseason. A lot of the onus for improvement on defense was going to be put on young guys stepping up and improving, and there is still half a season to go. There is still time for these guys to kind of up their game, so to speak. But, man, this first half of the season has been miserable in that regard. Every young player that they were hoping was going to take a big step forward has either gotten hurt or just has plateaued. Whether it is Gary, whether it is Savage, you know, it's like those are the guys that should be leading this defense, and right now they are dead weight, and it is hard to watch.
It's true. It's true 100%.
I would never lie to you.
When Kamal Martin is the greenest sprout on your defense, that's not good. When Dean Lowry has like a little pop-up on Travis Adams, everybody's kind of like they're popping their head up, but they're not really sustaining. There's no one on this defense besides, Z, but other than that, like that front seven, who are you thinking about? Who are you worried about? Who are you planning against?
Nobody.
I don't see anybody.
Well, and especially if you can know that you can handle everything one-on-one, that allows you to block up Kenny Clark with a double team almost every play. And I'm not saying he is being double teamed every play, but a lot of the time, it's either double teams or sliding, so you know you're going to have bodies on him. It's hard to put much of it on Kenny. And Kenny would be the first one to tell you. He talked to the media, was it yesterday? It's frustrating and they're pissed, and I get it, man. But this idea that you're absolutely right. They got to start winning some one-on-ones, and if they can't do that, then they've got to start generating pressure schematically, because, boy, howdy, the pressure numbers are just way down from last year, and that's obviously starts with the Smiths, because they have not been the same. All right, let's talk about this 49ers game. We won't go too long into this, but because who knows if the game even happens, Corey? We'll see. But I would expect.
Oh, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
At some
Whether
point.
it happens Thursday or not.
Yeah. That's the question. I would expect to see lots of screens, lots of swing passes, lots of things where you basically say, that's an extended handoff. Like we've seen Devontae in the slot, and then he does that little bubble, and Rodgers gets it into his hand that way, or Tyler Ervin, or somebody of that nature with, some athleticism in space. I think we're going to see a bunch of that, not just wide receivers, but running backs as well. But I think that's going to be not a substitute for the running game, but I think it is definitely going to be a key piece of the game plan, because, look, you don't want to be handing off to Dexter Williams for 30 carries. I know, hey, and shout out to Dexter, man. Go get him tomorrow night, buddy, because –
I mean, what if you do and you get a 200-yard rusher, by the way? I mean, keep handing it off to him if we can get something out of him.
If it's productive, yeah, sure, absolutely. I don't suspect it will be very productive, but I'm all for it. If it happens, ride it 1,000%. But here it is. I mean, this is the whole reason you keep guys like this around, It's that old Jerry Glanville quote when he was joking to Favre, like, 2 car wrecks, a plane wreck, and you're in. Well, guess what? We just had 2 car wrecks and a plane wreck. It's time for Dexter Williams to go in. So we'll see what he brings in his big first extended action. And then finally, we've mentioned the Niners being banged up a couple times. They are supremely banged up. And it's funny to hear Packers fans hand-wringing about wide receivers. The Niners have 3 wide receivers available for tomorrow night's game. One of them is questionable with an injury. So, You talk about Kyle Shanahan being in
Wow.
the same position that Matt LaFleur is in. Matt LaFleur has Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. You know, Shanahan has Mullins and some no-name crew. I think they have their first-round pick is still there. So it's like, you know, which one do you take? Who do you feel more confident in? Rodgers and Adams or Mullins and whoever? You know, Ayuk, I think it is. So, I mean, the Packers
and whoever.
The Packers should have a decided advantage here. Yet it doesn't feel like they do
should is
at
the operative
all.
word.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And you know, the line I think from Vegas was like 4, right? 4 or 6 for the Packers.
It opened up at
Has
like
that
around
changed?
there. I'm sure it had. I saw it initially, but I haven't checked back. But
Yeah,
we'll
and
see. I
all
wonder
Packer
what-
fans all Packer fans were like, "What? Wait, that's high."
We're favored.
It's like,
right?
they
Oh yeah, it's a problem. All right,
look how far we've come, Nagler.
we have. It's amazing, man. Lambeau. I'm just a shout out to
come
Lambeau
so
Field.
far, and
It
yet
looks phenomenal.
it's the same.
Lambeau Field looks so good. Look at that. Come on now. That's
It
ridiculous.
always does. You know what? It always looks like that, Nagler.
I know.
We just change. It
it's just-
stays the same.
It's glorious. Hey, now it did change from when we were younger, though. You remember the old
Yeah, it did.
aluminum siding?
You're right. It got better.
It got better.
It upgraded.
We, however, just got older. All right,
Yep.
Perry, hit it.
We did not upgrade.
This week in the Packer blogosphere.
That's right. It's this week in the Packer blogosphere, the return of that venerable series.
I
Corey
like the
Behnke.
bass line where it's like, what's going on?
Corey Behnke. How are you?
How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I need another beer, but I don't want to get up because, you know.
Because we're doing
on
a show.
camera.
You can, if you want me,
Yeah.
you want me to do a monologue for a bit, and you want to go get a beer, I'm fine with that. You know.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
I'm good. I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Here's what I want to talk about this week, because, man, I've had a stretch here in this last 10 days or so, maybe 2 weeks. A couple weeks ago,
Okay.
I got into a bit of a Twitter spat with Paul Noonan over there at Acme Packers, and that extended out. And then, Corey, you caused a great hubbub with your tweet about Packers fans needing to learn their history, and you were an old man yelling at the clouds, and people got after you for it. And, man, you got the youths riled up that day, Behnke. We're still actually getting fallback from that as far as, like, tweets weeks and weeks later. But it just had me thinking. It had me thinking. And the whole reason I didn't go after Paul on the show a couple weeks ago is because I had someone I really care about a lot ended up in the hospital. And it really caught me off guard. And it was something that really kind of made me step back and think about the nature of Twitter and our relationship to it and with it. Not only with the idea that I understand we have been around for a long time. When we tweet stuff, like, it's representative of who we are, obviously. But it is still just a tweet. And you and I have a very different relationship with that tweet than anybody else reading it, especially, it seems, to me, generationally. This thing that you and I obviously did not grow up with Twitter. We did not, we discovered it when it was, basically invented and or rolled out. And we've been utilizing it since it first came, into our lives, so to speak. But it's funny watching my daughters and their relationship with the internet and Twitter. And it really struck me after the, I guess, firestorm over the last weekend about the Bart Starr thing and Aaron Rodgers and your tweet about, if you're going to talk about the Packers, know the history. Look, I understand that when you tweet something, like I said, it is representative of us, right? But it's not who we are. Tweets are not people. They don't, have a life. They're not a press release about our core beliefs. It's just a thought. And, this idea that if you and I, or anybody who's in the comment section or on Twitter, etc., were sitting in a bar or in a house at a party, and we were just having a beer, shooting the shit, and saying, oh, man, Bart Starr is the greatest quarterback ever. He's not as good as Aaron Rodgers. Oh, God, you need to know your history if you're going to talk out your ass about the Packers. Everyone would have an opinion. Everybody would talk to each other, yell at each other, blah, 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 drink a beer, go back and forth. And then afterwards, it would be completely, maybe not forgotten, but disposed of in the sense of how important it is in relation to the person we're having the discussion with. With Twitter, that is very much, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, how I approach it. Like, it's a toss-off thing where I go, okay, this thing. And when Corey says something, it's like, yep, you need to know this. I believe it. I have no problem with people taking us to task for it. I understand those tweets are there. Yep. The internet's in ink. It's going to live forever, whatever. I get it. I just want people to know that I understand that Twitter is not life. And I have no problem with any kind of Packer fan out there wanting to fan however they want to. Corey and I have a very long history. The whole reason this show began, the whole reason this website exists, is because Corey and I used to fight about the Packers all the time. Like, to the point where people constantly told us to shut the fuck up. I mean, constantly. Constantly. Would you guys shut up? We would be anywhere in the world back when we were at school in North Carolina, and everyone would tell us to shut up all the time. All the time. About the Packers, because that's all we went to an art school. People were having discussions about Stanislavski, and we were like, yeah, but Brett Favre threw that sick-ass pass on third down. Yeah, but what about Leroy Butler, blah, 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 you know? And people would be like, oh, God, would you guys shut up? And Corey and I, when we first met, we did not hit it off. Corey and I were very, very, very oil and water. We were not friends initially. But Corey is one of my best friends today. Because I know him. We've spoken, obviously, daily, and I know the man. So when people come at Corey, I am always going to defend him. But, of course, you're allowed to be whatever kind of fan you want, have a relationship with the team however you want. People come at me because I lived through the 70s and 80s, and I always utilize that experience as, look, this is how I relate to the team. I get it's not your relation, but it's mine. And I'm always going to express it. And I understand that you don't care for it. You think I'm an idiot. You're totally welcome to those opinions. You're welcome to think Corey's an idiot. Sometimes he is. And I tell him so.
I am. A lot of times.
That does not mean that we are gatekeeping. It does not mean that we think we're better than anybody else. It just means we have opinions. We're always happy to hear yours. Yes, sometimes we'll tell you to shut up. Sometimes I'll say it's stupid. But just know, when I do that, it's in the spirit of we're sitting at a party. We're just talking about the Packers. It's not personal. I'm not personally attacking you. I just, in that moment, yes, maybe a little bit dismissive, but it is absolutely meant in the spirit of friendship. And that's it. And that's what I wanted to say. And it's been weird. Like I said, it's been a weird 2 weeks. It's been very emotional, and I've really been kind of stepping away from this stuff a little bit, trying to look at it 30,000 feet. I still get engaged. I still get animated. I get it. But I don't know. I needed to get that off my chest, and I know I'll probably get attacked for it, and that's fine. It's your right to do so, but I just needed to say it. You know, not sitting here thinking we're the best, we're the number one authority, but we got opinions, we're passionate about it, and we're always going to express it. That's all I got, Corey.
Okay. Well, all I got is nobody who wears these gloves is a gatekeeper of anything. Okay? I don't even know what that means. I think it's hilarious. What I think is hilarious is when two things. One,
oh boy.
Saying look at your history only enriches yourself, okay? Mm-hmm. If you look at your history of your ancestors, if you look at the history of anything that you did in the place that you live or anything around you, it's only going to enhance your experience. So I don't, the second thing is Bart Starr is the greatest quarterback to ever fucking play for the Green Bay Packers. And anybody who says any differently can go fuck themselves, okay? So I'm just going to put that right there. You could take that sentiment from my cold, dead fingers because I don't see any quarterback ever being greater than Bart Starr for the Green Bay Packers, okay? Because as soon as you touch Vince Lombardi and as soon as you touch the championship stuff, and Nagler's posted some stats that are ridiculous, it goes back to this notion of leaders championships. So yes, quarterback wins is not a stat, but quarterback championships and Bart Starr being the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and it is a generational divide, and that's fine. And you can say I'm an old man yelling at a cloud, but guess what? Yell at anything, you're yelling at a cloud nowadays, okay? It's cloud computing, people.
You got that off your chest now?
Bart Starr. Okay, wait. No, here. I don't want any noise.
I can't believe you didn't
I just want to say one thing definitively.
Go ahead.
Okay, one thing. Nagler, don't talk. Okay, here we go.
Not
here we go. Ready? Bart Starr is the greatest quarterback to ever play for the Green Bay Packers. Get done.
Can I talk now?
Now I need a beer. Yes.
Thanks. Hey, continuing on here in the Packer blogosphere, I did want to give a shout out to a young man who I got to meet a couple years ago when I was at training camp. Christian is incredible. I think I have an affinity for him for a lot of reasons. Obviously, he's followed me on Twitter for a long time. His mother got in touch with me a couple years ago because he's a big, huge Green Bay Packers fan. He's a big fan of CheeseheadTV. And Christian also has been diagnosed with the same form of autism along the spectrum as my daughter Violet, like down to the same, almost the same diagnosis. And when I met him, it was really touching, influential in my life, important to me. I've kept in contact with him and his family. It was his birthday last week. I want to give him a shout out. Perry, if we could put up the picture. This kid is amazing. Christian follows the Packers obsessively and wants to work for the team someday. He's really into statistics. He wants to do something along those lines with the team. Hopefully he will one day, but I just wanted to give him a birthday shout out because this kid is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And he absolutely
happy birthday.
Absolutely carries the G. So happy birthday, Christian. Anything else that you got there for the fine folks at home, Corey Behnke?
Now, when are we doing Patreon happy hour? What's going on?
We're doing that tonight. Speaking of Patreon, Patreons,
all right.
We will be having our happy hour about 6:30 Eastern. If you are not a member of the Patreon page, please consider giving us $5 a month. It gets, access to everything we do here at Cheesehead TV, including my podcast. John Kuhn was my latest guest. And you do get access to our happy hour each and every week. Tonight it's at 6:30 Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. $5 a month helps support everything we do, including this show, Packer Transplants, along with 5+ hours of live streaming for our watch parties each and every game, which tomorrow is going to include a very special guest right here in the studio. We are going to be joined by Perry Goldstein of Pack's What She Said fame. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Happy hour is always a lot of fun. Transplants is always fun. Why don't we take some super chats here real quick before we head out?
While you're taking super chats, according to Twitter, tomorrow night is going to be similar on Watch Party to the time in 1992 when one Don Mikowski, that's me, was replaced by one Brett Favre. That's Perry. So here we go. Transitions are happening. I know.
You're telling me she's gonna Wally Pip you, and then she's gonna be my new co-host at Packer Transplants. I see how it is. All right.
I don't know about transplants, but I see the boot coming for me for Watch Party. I see the end times are near.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But who knows? Maybe if she does show up, it's possible. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come on, it's gonna be a blast.
I want to know how many times she's going to get annoyed by me. That's what I want to know. What's the over/under on that? What do you think? Like 3, and then
30
probably
seconds?
take the over?
30 seconds, quickly.
Okay.
The moment you open your mouth, I think that'll probably be the threshold there. Let's go with these super chats here. We got iKickAss44, which is one of my favorite handles. I need some Peter B trash talk. No, that is exclusively on Corey Behnke's Twitter account. That is where that happens.
No, it's not. What do you
mean?
That's the time. That's a transplants time too.
It is a transplant staple. We're going to have him on the show at some point. That needs to happen.
One day he'll
that
refuse.
Needs to happen.
Although, it was fun. Yeah. It's funny.
Okay, we got overshadowed.
What's really funny is I was trying. Overshadow. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice to Peter, and then you took his tweet, and then you were like, "No, you're wrong," and I was actually being like, "I'm on board."
I just said, say whatever you want. That's all.
But
That's
I agree. I agree with both things, though.
Right,
I was just like, I don't know if it's scheme or if it's players, so I hate when people like think they know and they don't know, but I don't know either. Right? It's like I'm annoyed by people who don't know, and I'm one of those people who don't know. So I just
you annoy yourself.
I annoy myself. Oh, this is true.
Overshadow Sean, CheeseheadTV is so metal it rusts. Still working, dang it. I'll watch later. Go, Pack, go. Thanks, Overshadow.
Okay.
We got Michael. What else? We got Michael Gabriel. Over under 12 passes by Nick Mullins tomorrow. Woo, baby, that's a good one. What do you think, Behnke? Does Mullins throw fewer or more than 12 passes against the Packers
I'm going to say
defense?
fewer, but maybe I'm going to say fewer.
Yeah. I mean,
but I guess that's all they got, so.
Well, we'll see if they're running
Depends
the football
on how desperate they get, right?
with abandon like they were back in January. They may not need to throw. So we'll see. Amar, thanks for the super chat. Amar says, I kind of feel the defense is similar to the Kansas City defense last year. They ranked at the bottom for rush and pass defense. I mean, Kansas City, it's funny because they've been terrible, not terrible, but they've been pretty bad stopping the run for a couple years now. And as you point out, they did end up in the Super Bowl and winning it last year. So, you know, do I expect the kind of ascension from the Packers defense to at least be serviceable? Yes. But could they find a way to win a bunch of games via their high-flying offense? Yeah, of course. But I'd prefer the defense just play better. Matt Mamba.
Be nice.
Thanks for the super chat. We can't open field tackle. Our defense puts their heads down and throws their bodies at the ball carrier. I can't. We just talked about a whole thing about that with Savage and crew. I agree. It's maddening to watch these guys throw themselves blindly at the ball carrier with their heads down because you see it again and again and again. Matt, share your frustration.
30-second in tackling.
RC,
Yikes.
Savage doesn't seem interested in tackling. Yeah, you can definitely say that again. And you did say something else.
With you there.
RC, another super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. You know Alexander is going to cover half the field and Clark is going to get double teamed. Why is it so hard to figure the rest out? I don't know. I had that thought earlier this week when the stat came out that, what was it? Alexander was on Jefferson for the majority of the game and allowed, 2 receptions, maybe even 1 reception for 14 yards or whatever, blah, 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 blah. It's like when Patton was here in New York, he had Darrelle Revis. And the whole time, when Patton got hired, I said, well, don't expect it. He doesn't have Darrelle Revis. He kind of has Darrelle Revis. He kind of has a guy who just wipes out an opponent's side of the field or at least takes over their number 1 target. So if you have that advantage, how can you not figure the rest of the shit out? Drives me batshit insane. It kills me because that's the other thing. We know they got pieces. They got lots of talented pieces. They just aren't playing cohesive football, and it's driving me insane. On that note, you got anything else, Corey?
No, I mean, I think that's a great way to end the show,
Driving me insane. That pretty much covers the Green Bay Packers.
The Packers are driving us insane, and we love it.
That's fair. That's totally fair. I love it. That'll do it for this episode of Packer Transplants. We'd like to thank everyone who joined us today and who makes CheeseheadTV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
I have a question, Aaron, for Aaron Nagler. Does he go by Packer? I see Packer Aaron sometimes writes on CheeseheadTV. Is that his? Does he go by that, or is that somebody else?
Oh yes, yeah, that's me.
Okay,
That goes way back. I think when we started the site.